Good morning, my friends. It is I, John, out here on the back deck on a Saturday morning with the fabulous mug of coffee, here to have coffee with you. I hope that you are having a fabulous morning wherever you are. It has been a magnificent week for me, a magnificent week. You know, I'm going through a lot of changes with the channel and with just the way I do business, and a lot of that change is about me honoring myself to have enough time to actually have a life outside of constantly making videos and private sessions and everything. But I talk to people and they fear change. They talk about, I'm afraid that I have to do it a certain way, and they get really stuck in the how things have to happen because they have to happen in the way that they're used to, or the idea is that it only happens in certain ways. And change is nothing to fear. 'Cause no big outcome has ever been achieved without change. No big outcome has ever been achieved without change. And you need to be open to the idea of change being not only necessary, but a good thing. You know, the idea of keeping your mind on the positive rather than the negative is found in many spiritual traditions. But the idea of fearing change, my buddy Jeshua. Yeah, he went through some serious change, didn't he? Right? He went to the cross. That's a huge change from life to death. Massive change. For me, these past couple weeks have been just magnificent because I'm so excited about trying new things and doing new things. The video changes, they look different because I'm playing with new ideas. And I'm sure over the course of time it will morph, but that's the nature of change. Is you try things and you find what works and what doesn't work, and you look at them from the perspective of, um, this is something that I am learning and something that I'm creating. And you know there's this concept of mastery implies that you know a discipline fully, and you have it completely learned and completely embodied. But I think it's a false belief because change is always occurring and every discipline is evolving. So what happens, you have someone who learns the discipline all the way to the top. They know everything, they're practicing everything, they're doing everything. But then someone comes up and learns everything they've learned, and then they improvise, and they explore new ideas, and they create new versions, and they build upon the discipline. So now who's the master? The person who knew everything before, or the person who knew everything and then grew it even further? See, the thing is, mastery is not about an ending. It's about an ongoing process of change. And it's about living in that change in a way that you can feel good about it, feel positive about it. Just like I feel positive about coffee. Thank you very much. The idea that you are a master of something is you are a master up to that point, but you will not be the master for long because someone will come along with a different idea. And that idea will become part of the discipline, and then suddenly you're no longer the master because you don't know that part of it, unless you're trying to keep up with, your neighbor. I remember stage combat was very interesting. When I was first learning stage combat, you're learning from these guys who had stage combat in mind, and they weren't nearly as versed in the historical text as a lot of the actual historical fencers are today. And what's interesting is if you go back to the 1968 or 69 Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet, it was very interesting because prior to that time period, they were using modern fencing techniques. If you look at Robin Hood with Errol Flynn, they're holding broadswords, but they're doing everything in fencing, like they're fencing. And that's not how you use a broadsword. It's just not how you use it, right? But when in the late '60s, they started to be this push towards making fights more historical. And if you look at the fight scenes in Romeo and Juliet, 1968, the fights seem very clunky and they don't move very well. But the techniques they're using are Venetian side sword. It's a historical fight style, and it just, for anybody else who doesn't know fight styles, you would go, "Well, that looks rocky, that looks rough." And for me, I was like, "That's fascinating," because they were taking mastery to a new level. One of the things I used to teach with the International Order of the Sword and Pen at the Patty Crane Workshop, and I was so happy when they started bringing in, uh, HEMA guys, the historical European martial arts guys, because they were uh, showing us things that we had never known as fight directors, and just even the placement of their hand on a broadsword was different from the manuals. And so once you learn these historical styles, fighting became easier in all aspects. In all aspects, mastery is something that you have to be open to the concept of ongoing change. Because if you're not willing to have that ongoing change, if you've decided that you're at the end of your growth, then you will no longer be the master. You will be the person who is left behind with the new techniques, the new ideas, the new beliefs. I do nunchucks, and one of these days I'll do nunchucks on camera for you just because people ask me about it. The more I explore nunchucks, the more I do things that people go, "Whoa, what did you just do there?" Arm slides and foot hooks and all kinds of various techniques, but it was nothing I've learned anywhere else. I explored, I improvised, and in that exploration, in that improvisation, I found things that were really cool and repeatable. And so I was able to grow my own skill set with nunchucks. It really comes down to understanding that there is always something new. There is always something different. And right now people are terrified about AI and all this stuff. That's because they're focusing on a negative outcome. But the people who embrace the technology will find ways to use it in a way that's positive. And there'll be people who find, I mean, I come up with ideas for videos and I ask AI to help me figure out a logical outline so that I can make sure it's clear, and I never let it write a script for me, but I help it formulate my ideas. I tell it what I want to talk about. I give it the ideas, I give it the information, and it lays it out in a logical form for me. Makes it very nice. Do I think it's evil? Nope. I think it's a tool. And to live in the mastery is to understand the new tools, to find the new experience. You look at my videos, and the videos are very much growing right now because I'm learning new tools. Now, some people are getting distracted by the three cameras but in the end, it's all gonna come together as a form. I will tell you, going to the three cameras, my video retention has gone up 20%. People are watching my videos longer with the three cameras. And I just think it's because the visual of just me standing there talking um, doesn't grab their visual attention as much as the three cameras and the putting up of the text. Um, when I was looking at how to grow the channel, that was one of the things that I had to embrace because I always thought that the topic itself would be interesting enough for people to hold on, but I'm discovering that the topic it can keep people going, but when you add topic and visual interest, you retain people for longer, which means I can teach longer, which means I can help people sooner because they're actually holding on. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this process of change. I for me, I always did the one camera shoot, which meant edits would be would be like I'm here and then I'm here, those kind of things. Um, but I only had the one camera. But now because I'm changing out the studio and I've got three, and a slider, I'm getting dynamic motion, which makes it very much different. But I have to learn that skill still, and I'm learning that skill still. And, going to see Alex in Austin was really helpful for me because he is a filmmaker and seeing what he was doing with the studio, what his studio was, and the ways he was using the technologies, it really inspired me in a big way. I find Alex to be one of the most inspirational person for me right now. Now, Alex is very interesting. He's bringing all these people on and he's just interviewing them, but he's much more simple spirituality leaning like me. He's very much more like me. He's like he thinks you can find beauty in God and love and everything in all religions. He thinks that you can find this that there is not only one way. Um, and he also has come down to the point where he's like, you know, bringing himself more present, being in the now. I totally love the guy. I just when I met him the first time, we just laughed, and we've laughed every time every time we've come together. I just think I just really he inspires me because he's inspiring me because he is the person who's further along in the filmmaking thing. I'm very new to it. I'm very new to it. To sit here on the back deck with an FX30 Sony camera and a 15 millimeter 1.7 lens and a Sennheiser microphone and in the old days this would have been my iPhone, right? This would have been iPhone and a lavalier mic that came over to me. And now I've moved up into better equipment and the videos look cleaner, they look clearer. The sound is much better because I have a higher quality microphone. I'm learning the editing software, DaVinci Resolve. I'm learning more and more on that every day, and thoroughly enjoying learning about the things that are changing my experience. As I said, change is nothing to be feared. Change is literally just an expression of your own growth. To understand that change is part of who you are. Evolution is ongoing, and in that evolution ongoing, you're choosing how to evolve. For me, I'm evolving into a lifestyle where I can reach more people and yet still have a life, still have an experience. And the way you do that is to embrace the technology, to embrace the 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 ways of making the production easier. And it seems like I've expanded with the 3 cameras, it's much harder. It's actually not that much harder to make the videos, but taking the private sessions out frees up 40 hours of my week. The private sessions take up 40 hours of my week, and all the video stuff is happening around that. Now I can lean into the videos. Now, when right now it's kind of a an interesting transition because I am still doing private sessions right now, but there's only one in the new year, and it was rescheduled into the new year, and it'll be the last one I do, but I am ending them on the 23rd because that's part of the change. The change is to free up the time to do more video work. If I added 20 hours to my video work, I would still have 20 hours of the week that I wasn't using because before all those hours would have been filled with all those private sessions. And don't get me wrong, I thoroughly have enjoyed doing the private sessions. I've met a lot of amazing people over the past several years, and I feel like I've made a lot of new friends. I feel like I've made a lot of new friends, and that's beautiful. Everything that we've discussed in the private sessions is found on my channel. If you just watch my videos, you can find exactly what I was teaching. All I really did in the private sessions was personalize it and make it really clear what they were creating into their life. And if you want that experience, book soon. But it's really kind of wonderful and exciting that this new change is happening this way because I'm at the forefront of that change. I'm the pinpoint of creation of my life, and choosing to change opens me up for more opportunities to create a life that I enjoy and a life where I can sit here and drink coffee with my friends on the deck. It really comes down to understanding that change is nothing to fear. And when you embrace change and you guide change, you guide it towards the life of your dreams and the life of your desires. And I feel like right now that I'm feeling much more joyful. I'm always a joyful guy, don't get me wrong, but I feel even with all the stuff I'm still doing with private sessions right now, I feel freer. My mind is clear to explore new artistic directions, and so I guess my point of this whole video this morning, this Saturday morning coffee video, is don't fear change and don't think things have to happen the same way every time, because you can free yourself from that belief and create the new way, be the new master, and change the direction simply by making a choice and trying something and making it work. And the idea that you can't and you have to, those are just present moment beliefs that stop you. Remember, fear is always going to be your paralyzer. You're afraid of change, and so you don't take an action. I am not afraid of change. Fear is the thing that we release if we want to reach enlightenment, according to my friend Buddha, right? Yeah. The secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. So don't fear change. And my friends, that is my thought this Saturday morning. I hope you guys are having a fabulous, fabulous day. It is chilly here in Akron, and I'm actually kind of enjoying wearing a sweatshirt and my hat and just kind of being out here on the deck with my coffee and you guys. I hope you like the new intro for the Saturday morning coffee. I thoroughly enjoyed making it. It was a new idea that I had that I wanted to try to make it a little more film like, and made some choices that some people aren't going to agree with in that design, but that's okay. Like the part where where I'm making the coffee, and you could see the lines. I purposely changed the shutter speed so that those lines would show up through it because it was showing the passage of time, and I just thoroughly loved making that whole process, making that whole video. I made all those clips in less than an hour, and then I came out and I edited it for another hour, and then I just was thoroughly enjoying th the artistic process of that too. So, anyway, you guys, I hope you have a great week that's coming up. I will see you next Saturday for our Saturday, coffee time with John, and, enjoy your week, and, if you like these Saturday coffee talks, go ahead and give us a comment below. Make sure you click like and subscribe and share and that bell notification so you know when something new is coming up. And I love you all, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life through your comments, through your messages, through your emails, through people have been sending me beautiful messages on my contact form on the johnofnew.com website. Um, Over the next week or so, that will be shifting. It will go to the Expanded Spirit site. When you type in John of New, it will just simply take you to the Expanded Spirit, because I'm rebuilding the website right now, and I'm also rebuilding the I'm building a website, not rebuilding, building a website for the recovering Catholic. So, anyway, that's my thought on this, my friends. You have a fabulous week, and I will talk to you soon. See ya.